Okay then, good evening and welcome to the Red Hot Gamers podcast. There's me and the Reverend this evening.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Very well. Yourself?
I'm
Choking
very well.
slightly?
Yeah, it's a bit more smoky than I'm used to, I'll be honest. Upgraded. But yeah, everything's good, sir. Everything's
fantastic. This is going to be a bit different than normal. For those of you who don't know, the Texans have real-life commitments now. They're still streaming quite a lot. So it's quite difficult to get us all together at the same time. So we're breaking down into smaller podcasts. Morel's doing his indie hour. I'm sure the Texans will do some sort of live streaming sort of thing. And me and the Rev are here to talk about gaming in general, really.
Gaming in general. And maybe
the bigger news and some wrestling as well, because we love wrestling.
We
and
do.
Why not?
We, for many years, I was a closet wrestling fan. And the last year or so, I've been outed, and I feel now there's no better platform than perhaps YouTube or a podcast to really deal with those feelings.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, what you been playing recently, sir?
Do you know, the past few days I've actually been playing a bit of World of Tanks.
Really? A few people that are into that. It's not something I've ever even tried. I don't.
It's in depth enough that if you really wanted to get into it, there is a lot to keep you interested, but then as in the preparation for matches, like there is tons of tanks and upgrades and whatever for them. The game itself is pretty basic from what I've seen so far. You've just got two teams and you either fight to the death or it's like King of the Hill, you have to be in the enemy's base for so long without dying to take it over, sort of thing. But it's one of those good games that if you don't want anything too serious, now I'm sure that some people must take this very seriously and they're probably going, it's a serious game, damn it. And it's like, not for me. It's something that you can just log on. The matches last about 10 minutes. It's not a huge chunk of time. You just go and shoot some big ass bullets at people.
Sometimes you need that. I think it's like the COD mentality for me. You just want to go on. You want to have, a few games and get rid of some sort of stress. It's not like one of those where you're building a house in the wilds and you get locked up before it gets dark, and you end up playing inevitably for 6 or 7 fucking hours because you don't want to leave it unlocked and lose all the stuff you've been getting. Totally with you on that. Yeah.
Which sounds very familiar to something you've been playing.
Yes, well, actually, on more than one level. Weirdly, a couple of weeks ago, they did the Half-Life update, which we should probably talk about because that's actually brought something back to that game, and I got back into it. Free update, so you can play Half-Life, and it looks loads nicer. And went back to it. It still stands up as a game, pretty good. But then I bought Subnautica. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen it. I've not played it.
Still being developed, not finished. Being updated a lot, but basically underwater on an alien planet you have to gather resources and you build shit basically. And that was pretty cool. I had 2-3 days where I loved the shit out of it, even after it wiped one of my saves by crashing, which was a bit sad. But yeah, recently, and I've got to be honest, when I bought it pretty much on release date as soon as it was available and hated it, and that's Rust. And Wilco from altislife.co.uk. Hi Wilco, not that you won't be, you're probably listening. He's got Rust Life, basically, and I got back into it. And when you're playing with a little team, the whole dynamics is better. When I first started, it was just a bunch of naked guys running around. Me and a couple of guys that didn't know what we were doing, getting beaten up by fucking Russians who were just chasing us with rocks constantly and smashing us to bits. That got pretty old pretty quick, I'll be honest. And I just thought, it sucks. But I've gone back now, and I tell you what, it's Minecraft for me. It's Minecraft meets DayZ, and they've just got it right. And it's developed and it's come along so far. I spent the last 2 nights building an impenetrable fucking fortress with an outer wall, so if they got through that, they've still got to get through a fucking steel wall, and then if they get through that, there's a fucking inner case solid steel fucking all fucking locked up. There was multiple fucking locked doors, all this stuff. What happens today, this is my last 2 nights, I got back into Rust, I was loving it, built this fucking impenetrable fortress. I even put signs around it, like Rev's house, trespassers will be forgiven, fucking all this sort of stuff. I was loving the shit out of it. And today they've released an update including guitars, which means that you've lost everything. Quit. So basically we're starting from scratch. But I think I don't know if you fancy it, but probably after the podcast we'll go and play a bit with the Altis Life guys.
I don't see why not.
That would be awesome. You can be part of the circle of trust, my friend.
Guitars, did you say?
Yeah, they've included guitars, which apparently you can actually play a tune with using your keyboard. Funnily enough, I spawned in a fucking frozen biome. I was freezing to death, got down to 10 health. Yeah. Then I see on side everyone's like, all plane. The plane comes fucking flying towards me, drops a package. I go up, grab a load, all the shit. I got a gun and some other stuff, a poncho and a guitar, along with my workbench and stuff. So we've got that to find out, see how that goes. But
fantastic.
That's my first gift to you, my friend.
Excellent.
That guitar
is
yours.
I hope we can play some good tunes on that.
I'm sure it'll be fun. But is it just World of Tanks you've been playing then, sir?
Pretty much. Apart from the usuals, FIFA.
Oh, FIFA. How are you getting on now? Playing legitimately, may I ask you, big bastard? I'm
getting on really well, actually. I went up 2 divisions in the past week. The pro tip to anyone who plays FIFA: always play as much as you can during school holidays, because obviously there's a lot of kids that are off school sat playing FIFA, and it's very easy to beat them.
Oh, I thought they had the reactions of cats, so they would always beat you.
Well, they're not as quick as mine, my friend.
By the way, Nazinho, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you had a couple of games with him on FIFA.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he's server admin for Altis Life now. The guy's fucking hilarious. When he found out you were going to come and play, he was quite excited, potentially about Rust. So you've got a friend there. But yeah, obviously we should probably talk about the GTA upcoming release, because we're just days away now.
We are 5 days away, and they've not announced a delay yet, which is pretty amazing.
What are your thoughts on that, though? Because
I think it might actually be coming out this time.
I'm not ruling it out. I don't know.
And well, it's not just that. They reckon that everything is going to, the heists, everything is going to work from day one, is what they're claiming. Now, if that's what they've took the extra time to do, and it does work, then fair play to them. But
I'll be happy if that is the case. But
we'll see.
I don't know. They've got they're outside of my circle of trust at the moment a little bit. But I'm not fussed. There's so many other games out there that I'm not even sure whether I'm going to buy it on release date, to be honest with you, blaYde. I don't know. I haven't decided. Inevitably,
I think it's a pretty safe bet on my end, but
yeah, it will happen. But I almost certainly won't play the campaign again for a long time, because I played it on Xbox.
Oh no,
a year and a half ago.
It's going to be pretty much purely online for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. But at the minute, there's a lot of games that I've bought and not played. I gave Alien Isolation a crack finally.
Oh yeah, it's pretty atmospheric.
Atmospheric wise,
give it that.
It really is like being in the Alien film. It's fucking genuinely impressive, and you do shit your pants when you see Alien as well. It's a bit like when you're playing DayZ and you see a group of other players or hear them and they're right near you. It's that sort of like fuck, gotta hide, gotta run.
Or when Brock Lesnar's entrance music hits.
yeah. And your arse starts going like that. Yeah, it's pretty much like that. But again, I've got other games that I'm enjoying more, so I kind of played it for a bit and I'm like, oh, this is good, and I'll go back to it. But I don't know. GTA it's been so long now that I'm over it, already.
I kind of get what you're saying. For me, it's kind of working in reverse now, in that I've put it off for so long, or I've had to, that I'm just dying for it now. Yeah.
What is it? What are we? Is it 5-6 days away now?
Yes, it is. It's what we on the 9th,
isn't it? Coming out.
It's the 14th. Yeah, 5 days.
That's Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Monday night, if you...
Also, Mortal Kombat release date, I believe.
Yeah, but nah. I don't know. Is it just me? But how I feel about some of these games. I know I'm not going to diss the retro gaming community because I've got a lot of respect for them. But what I've always found is that games that I loved when I was younger, and bearing in mind I'm fucking 36, so I'm what you'd probably class as a mature gamer, I guess, or fucking old gamer probably compared to a lot of people. When I go back and play games that I loved the shit out of as a kid, or even watching fucking 80s TV, I love fucking all the fucking 80s cartoons and all this stuff. Yeah. I go back and play them and it does nothing for me. I don't have the excitement that I had when I used to play them, because it seems so cutting edge and it seems so awesome, and all I feel they're doing is just reskinning, and it's exactly the same. There's nothing, and I get that, and maybe that's how it should be, but there's not enough for me to go in. I wouldn't buy a Mortal Kombat. I think I've got one of my Humble bundles.
Even if you could play as Jason X and Predator?
Doesn't bother me. It doesn't. It's going to take a shit ton more than that. I know that's brilliant, reeling you in with something exciting, but didn't we have, like, was it Street Fighter that had fucking Star Wars characters? One of them, or was it? I can't remember which one it was, but they brought in, you could play as fucking Yoda, and I'm like, that's fucking cool. I can be Darth Vader. I can be Yoda. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. For 5 minutes.
But what? They got a fucking lightsaber, they kick your ass. Like, yeah. You just, like, it's not realistic. And then you got all the frustration of, like, I don't know. Would you personally be buying it, though? That's the question.
I'm going to hold off, I think.
Yeah?
I'm going to hold off for now. Probably wait till it drops in price a bit.
I predict in the first 2 months it's going to be our price.
We'll see. Yeah, it's one of those that is either going to swim amazingly, or I think it's going to drop like a fucking stone.
Yeah, I think it's cool. You know, I do think it's awesome that you've got the fanboys who, oh, nice. Where's my merch, man? Are these readily available for the?
It's $14.99.
That's very conveniently priced. What about postage?
Yeah, you might have to pay postage on that.
Well,
a couple of quid.
I live walking distance from you, so I'll come and get one.
Indeed.
But do you think that maybe we could, as I am the Reverend, sew like a little white patch on the collar?
I'm sure that could be done.
Right, we'll work on that prize then. I'll come round. We'll get some hobby crafts on the go.
Yeah.
Get the white patch on there. But no, that's excellent. Are they available from the website, sir?
They're not at the minute. They will be.
They should be.
Will be very soon.
Can we see a little bit more of it for those that were? Look at that, Red Hot Gamers. RHG.
It also looks awesome on a black mug.
There's no need to be racist. I'm sure you'll probably cut that bit out now.
Probably not.
Oh well, that's pretty much how we roll.
I'm not fussy. But. Okay, so there's we don't have an official as such giveaway for this month as for April, but in May we will be giving away a code for Pillars of Eternity, the new Baldur's Gate style RPG that you can watch over at redhotgamers.co.uk. My little playthrough of it so far,
and I advise you do.
Yes, very much.
And buy a T-shirt when they're available as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have T-shirts, mugs, pencil cases.
Some other stuff,
condoms.
Obviously, we'll rinse them out like branded.
Yeah, you could pay a little extra and get a used one. A bit like the panties on these stripper show things on the internet.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Me neither. No, it's just something a friend told me. Morel said about it actually.
Him and his bag of dicks. I was thinking the other day. Sort of outside of the podcast, Morel did have a conversation about developing a game and coming up with some ideas for games. I thought the ideal one would be Morel's bag of dicks, and basically, like, it's Morel. For some reason, his dicks have got scattered around the planet, and it's some sort of hectic scramble to go back and fill his bag back full of dicks.
Oh, mate, what was it called? There was a game for the Amiga, I think, where you played this lad and he had a stick. His sidekick was a stick, and you could like use it. You could like put it in holes to help you jump up to the extra levels and stuff. Yeah, that could just be Morel and his dick.
Yeah, and you've got to have certain amounts of dicks to get into certain parts of the levels. Yeah. You know, that would be awesome. The dicks somehow are used in unison. Just an idea, throwing it out there. I think it would.
If someone can remember the name of that game, by the way, please let me know, because that's going to bug me like hell.
Maybe they'll win a prize, but probably not.
Maybe you'll win an RHG official T-shirt, maybe.
You can't afford to be giving those away. They're too precious, sir. Too precious.
It is. There's currently one in the world so far.
Oh, well, you know, maybe you could bundle it with some used condoms and
everyone's happy.
Everyone is happy, indeed, sir.
Well, we'll announce our city's skylines, shall we?
Oh, yes, you
should.
Seems
that has expired now, and it is a Mr. Paul Shawcroft. You are the winner. Congratulations.
We should probably put this at the top of the show, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
More editing for you.
Indeed.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, it's all good.
At least your connection's not dropping.
Well, no, we got Morel for that, right?
Exactly.
That's sort of his thing.
Now, I've always been an outed wrestling fan, really, since I started watching it when I was about 10 or 11, probably, all the way through secondary school. There was quite a good bunch of us at secondary school that were into wrestling, and we would openly talk about it quite a lot. So yeah, it's never really gone away. I did have a bit of a hiatus from it, probably from sort of 2006-ish.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I was the same. And the sad thing with that was I got peed off with WWE mainly. Mm-hmm. Still liked a bit of the indie stuff. Watched TNA for all my. I think TNA is actually a decent product. But yeah, I kind of got peed off with WWE for many years. Went back for the Rumbles, went back for WrestleMania. Wasn't bothered the rest of the time. Didn't know anything about them. Then I watched Rumble last year, and then reading about Punk walking out, that for some reason sparked a resurgence in me. I ended up reading a shit ton about CM Punk, and he got me back into WWE. Ironically, after he left.
Exactly the same story here, my
bizarre.
friend. Last year at WrestleMania, I said to some of the guys at work, it's Sunday night. After we close pretty early on a Sunday, I'm like, why don't we get some beers in, have a bit of a laugh, and we can watch WrestleMania. And it was one of the best fucking nights that I had in a long time.
No one saw that streak break coming, did they?
No, not at all.
That for me was the highlight, though. I can barely remember any of the rest,
I
know,
I'm struggling.
I know. Oh no, hold on. No, it was amazing. Daniel Bryan. Triple H, the Triple H match, beat him. I know you're not a massive Bryan fan. I'm not as much now, but I used to watch Ring of Honor many years back. And when he was American Dragon and Daniel Bryanson, he was fucking awesome. He had the cattle mutilation, which is one of the most brutal submission moves you've ever seen. And basically, it's amazing, yeah. It was some sort of crazy sort of pin submission thing that was just indescribable. But as they do in WWE, they take someone and then they nerf them. And basically, I think probably because they plow millions into promoting them, they really don't want them to get injured because that's going to affect their pockets. So a lot of the really crazy shit that he used to do, you just don't see anymore.
No, and that's a shame. It is a shame. I'm Attitude Era, as I'm pretty sure you are as well. Attitude Era through and through.
Yes and no. I don't know. There's parts of that that were freaking awesome, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. For me, I think the Summer of Punk 2011. Got to go with that.
Well, the thing is, I never saw that, so I know I can go back and watch it.
I retrospectively watched it all, and I tell you what, there's no one touches him on promos bar Paul Heyman.
I have pretty much. Yeah, Paul Heyman is God.
He is fucking God, isn't he? I love that guy.
The last segment, not this Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, where obviously Lesnar got beat, and then the first thing on Raw was him and Lesnar coming down, and Paul Heyman cut that promo. It was fantastic.
So good.
I could sit and listen to that guy all day long.
But the thing is, he spins it and makes it convincing, and that is why, if I'm honest, that's why I always love Punk, because we're wrestling fans. We know it's fake. We know that the outcomes are predetermined. Sometimes even on the night. Bless you, sir. Bless you, sir.
I'm good.
All right, cool. Yeah, but the thing is, like, when you've got someone that airs they lend a sort of some legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
I love that, and Paul Heyman can do that, and Punk totally did that, but only when they let him screw up the scripts and just go in and air his grievances. And you were like, this guy. But the thing was, he first and foremost, he was a wrestling fan, so he was saying the things that all the fucking marks like us were thinking, like, oh, fuck's sake, they're putting that guy over again, and why are they fucking promoting him, and they're not giving him a chance on the main roster? He's getting 5-minute matches. The other guy, they still do this shit, and it pisses me off. What's going to be the climax for Raw? 6-man tag team match. Brilliant. Thanks. Just like last week. Is he going to get interrupted by the Authority? Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Same shit. And I think it's that's the frustration. I tell you what, though, sir. On a side note, have you watched Lucha Underground?
I haven't yet. I am meaning to do it. You
My
have been
fucking
telling me to do it.
My God.
And
I will. There are legitimate links available, I believe. But yeah, basically, they blow WWE out of the water, and there's very little in terms of like the promos and stuff. It's all done so it's like cinematic. So it's almost like the promos are done in like a film. It's all edited in such a way that it looks like a dramatic sort of
like at WrestleMania, and they have the couple of minute like build up.
It's harder to explain than that. It's almost like it's come out of a Rodriguez film or out of sort of Pulp Fiction. It's filmed in that style, and it's even the film they use or something. It just seems like a little bit grimy and a little bit. It's deliberately done. But the actual wrestling, my friend, geez, the only one I would say there's 2 people on the roster currently. That's the short guy out of the Lucha Dragons in WWE. Can't remember his name, begins with K, and Adrian Neville. And they're the only 2 guys wrestling wise that would compare with pretty much anyone on that roster. They've got. Do you remember? John Morrison. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's there. Johnny Mundo now.
Oh, is he?
And he's incredible. That guy's an awesome wrestler. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's one to watch. You need to get into that because I think that's making WWE look a little bit bland for me.
Yeah, and that can happen when you're the big dog in town, I suppose, isn't it? You take things for granted a bit. You don't take risks.
Well, I think the thing is that they do listen to the fans, but sometimes it takes telegraphing the fucking message. Like the whole Roman Reigns thing. Everyone knows they were going to push Reigns. Reigns was going to be champion now, but the fans fucking cried him out the stadium, and that was actually not really his fault. That's because it was shit booking decisions, knocking Bryan out early, make Reigns look strong, the whole fucking all that shit. And it's not really the guy's fault. I actually feel a bit sorry for him. I don't think he's ready to be world champ personally, and I'm glad he isn't. I fucking love Seth Rollins. And I fucking love Brock Lesnar, but the guy is only contractually bound to do so many shows a year. And to be honest, I'd sooner have a fighting champ. And, there's other things. I like that they're reinvigorating the other titles as well now. Like, you got John Cena, Mr. fucking Never Loses, who suddenly doesn't give a shit about the World Championship, World Heavyweight Championship, or whatever the fuck it's called now. He's Mr. America, and they're actually promoting that, so they've added something to it. They've made it sort of important again. And previously it was, I remember Dean Ambrose had that for like a year, and I don't really remember him defending it like pretty much ever. At least they're doing something about it now. But
just going back to Roman Reigns slightly for a sec. I've been listening to a lot of CM Punk stuff, not just his promos and whatever, but actual interviews with him. And in one of them he was saying about how they put him up against the Shield, a 3-on-1. And Punk was going to win.
That was the Cabana podcast.
It could have been, strong. Exactly. And everyone was coming up to him and saying, just make sure that you make Roman Reigns look really strong.
You're going to win. We're putting you over, but you've got to make Reigns look strong.
And he's like, if you want to make him look strong, have him beat me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let him fucking win. No. You've got to go over. That's the thing is that what I love is that's what I always liked about Punk was that he understood the wrestling business inside out, and he understood that his sort of target audience weren't the fucking kids in the front row. They were the people like us that had grown up, loved wrestling. They knew the score. They knew it was, it's fucking drama, it's men in tights, but it's fucking basically like, it's just storylines and it's fucking outcomes, and annoys the fuck out of you when you don't get to see what you want to see and all that shit. He understood the score, and that I loved that interview, the Cabana podcast. That was fantastic. Just fucking amazing, because it wasn't a shoot. He didn't go in to slag people off. He went to basically, I think, clear his name and put a few things straight.
Just to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I think if that ended up slagging people off, but he was telling the truth. He wasn't just bitching about people for the sake of it, was he?
I know, and he was the only guy doing it, and that was the thing. And I think that's what made me love him for his promos. There's one I discovered the other day. And basically, I don't know all the backstory to it, but it was around the time that Punk had left and he'd come back and he had won the championship and lost it again. And he did this massive promo with Triple H. And I didn't see this when it was first time round. I've watched it subsequently. And I tell you what, you've never seen shit like that. Like, you've got two guys that they're breaking kayfabe totally, but they're still sort of making out like the outcomes are actually not predetermined. It was really complex, but they were fucking calling each other by their fucking...
I was going to say, that was when he was he was calling Triple H Paul Levesque, wasn't he? He was actually calling him by his actual... Yeah.
It was fucking amazing. And he was like... But everything he was saying was true. And then you could actually see, this was two guys, there was actually like a fucking struggle for power. And you got Triple H saying, like, you know, who's the guy that signed you when you came back? Who's the guy that paid for Living Colour to be your theme tune? I'm the guy that signed the check. And he's like, and you come in here telling me, and like basically, you know, 2 years ago no one gave a shit about you, and like now you've got the crowd behind you, so you think you're the man.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago we know that wasn't so much. But everything they say is right, and you've actually got two guys genuinely. I know. You know, there's the bullshit like they're going to be pushing each other around the ring and throwing chairs and shit, but up until that point it's two guys actually arguing. You can see that shit, and that for me is class TV.
Exactly.
Power struggles and shit, but I love that because he's like a rebellious motherfucker.
Yeah. So what did you think of WrestleMania this year?
I have to be honest, I went in with massively low expectations, more so than normal. I think largely it's because I already kind of knew the outcomes of all the matches, and I think I was right on all of them, but maybe one. I knew I had two people picked for the Battle Royale, which was the pre-show. That was Big Show and Mizdow, and they ended up being the last two, because I thought they were going to use it as the excuse to finally give Mizdow the push, but they seem to still be fucking waiting to do that. I don't know. Taker, I knew Taker would win. The one I didn't know, I didn't expect, and I don't know why they did this, was putting Triple H over Sting.
No,
if you're going to build the guy up to come back as like a big treat, this vigilante, this fucking
and then he
badass,
doesn't win,
and then you don't have him win, the fuck.
Yeah.
But I'd already predicted Seth Rollins was going to go away champ. Well, I figured it was either Brock or Seth Rollins, because I just didn't think Reigns, I think he was in the running up until basically the Rumble, and that was the plan, and they were going to do it no matter what. And from what I read, those plans were changed that night. It
doesn't surprise me, because the fans' reaction to him winning the Rumble basically was a nail in his coffin.
Did you see the interview with him and The Rock afterwards?
I didn't know.
It was incredible. Basically, they were both like, The Rock was massively aggressive to the guy interviewing them, threatening to slap him and shit straight up. This is The Rock. This is like the most over guy ever normally, and he gets booed out the fucking stadium. And Reigns, the guy was holding back the tears, and I'm not joking, trying to act all fucking tough and shit, but he's like, you could see he'd been crying, man. Poor guy. Well, I sort of feel sorry for him, but
it's not really his fault though, is it? I suppose.
No, but it's the fault of how wrestling's run these days, and it does fuck me off that, you know, you've got guys like Daniel Bryan, who's a fucking workhorse. You know, he goes out there. Dolph Ziggler, he sells like no one else. You know, he makes guys look good, and that's his problem. Yeah. Fuck me, Cesaro. I know that they're like, oh, you know, well, he's a tag team champion, and Tyson Kidd as well, great wrestlers, and yet they're languishing in fucking tag team glory. And that to me is not. That's not. You know, he should be at least intercontinental, and that guy should be in the fucking run-ins at any given time for the World Championship title. I don't get how they work sometimes, and I know it's all the politics backstage. And check this out. This is what fucks me off with wrestling, right? You remember Cesaro? He was meant to be a bad guy, and then he started doing the whole Cesaro swing, and it became like the most over move with the audience. They fucking loved the shit out of that, right? They basically said, you're meant to be a heel, stop doing the Cesaro swing, right? Then he gets dragged into the office because he made some dodgy comments or whatever about WWE management or whatever, and they basically said, you're not connecting with the audience. Like, this is after they've nerfed him from doing the Cesaro swing. I don't get shit like that. You know, as far as I'm concerned, if the audience fucking loves someone, push the shit out of them. Yeah,
give it to them.
And it's because they want the casual fucking watchers and the kids, and yeah, that ticks me off. It's like, do you know, dude, I actually like John Cena. I like the guy. I don't. He's underrated to fuck, and the reason I say that is because I feel sorry for that motherfucker. He wanted to turn heel years ago, you know. And that would give him just a little bit of credibility. Like if he turned heel and just didn't win all the fucking time. But because of the merch sales, he can't. No. And that's the thing. And so they put him over and they put him over and they put him over. And do you know, that guy is there like fucking 24/7. He works his fucking ass off. The only time he has off is injured. He goes all hog. And some of the best matches I've seen have been with the guy. So, you know, you can't win.
I just don't like him, to be honest.
I was exactly the same, but then I read a lot about it, and the fact that I think a lot of the guys that know their shit they rate the guy, and it's because he does put that fucking effort in. Yeah. You know? And he's had some fantastic matches. There's no two ways about it. I'm always going to be the guy, because it's fun, that shouts Cena sucks. I went to see Raw last year. I was screaming Cena sucks, but at the same time I like the guy. It's not because I don't like him. I respect him, and it's just he's too cheesy. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of just wanted to come out, stop with the whatever's left from that gangster rap bollocks that he used to do, and he's still trying to sort of carry on from that hustle, loyalty, respect, all this shit. You're like, And when he says y'all as well, I think he's from like Boston. That's like a southern thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I was American, I'd be fucking pelting shit at him for that.
Wait, it's like Bad News Barrett's meant to be from Preston, but he sounds nothing like anybody from Preston has ever sounded
like.
He's a bit
Welsh, isn't he?
I can't really get his accent that much to pin it down, but it's certainly not the Northwest.
I like Barrett, but
I like Barrett.
I like him, but do you know what? I think he would be better off as a colour commentator. Like, not being funny.
He works brilliantly when he's been commentating. You know, when he's watching other guys' matches, he's done fantastic.
He's got personality. Booker T, I liked the guy as a wrestler years ago. Like, Spinneroonie was awesome. He was a great wrestler, to be fair. But I hate him as a commentator. And like, I don't want to, but like, his voice grates me. King, I'm not a fan of King. JBL could just go and fucking suck a dick. I called him JR because Freudian slip, the Texan hat and all that shit. I've never liked that guy. Actually, no, when he was Bradshaw, he was okay. Bradshaw and Farouk.
Yeah. APA were fantastic.
APA were cool. But that's because he shut the fuck up. And I don't rate the guy. I would sooner see like Bad News Barrett. You know, get the guys there with personality that know what they're talking about.
Have like JR, Cole and Bad News. That'd be a pretty decent lineup.
I could deal with that. You know, that would be cool, but hey, they do what they do. But I think I wasn't a fan of Cole, as probably most people aren't, until I read like an interview with the guy, and he is a bit of a prick. But when you hear what he has to do, basically the guy's got to hold the show together. He's got about 6 people at any given time, potentially talking to him, telling him what to say, whilst trying to commentate, whilst trying to follow a script, and not give away anything and all that shit. It sounds ridiculously fucking hard. But yeah, don't know.
One thing that kind of annoyed me this year about WrestleMania, and it had nothing to do with the actual wrestling as such, was that they had it in an open air arena.
I like that.
It just it took. I mean, well, right, okay. So, what is possibly the best thing about the Undertaker? His entrance.
Yeah,
and when it's in beautiful California sunshine. If that
had been half an hour later, perfect.
Yeah. No, didn't work.
I fully get it, but I totally agree on that. Taker and Bray Wyatt, the 2 darkest characters that they've got, and they should have come in.
But as the sun was just setting and it was just getting a little bit dark, that would have been.
It was
fantastic.
Getting that way, but it wasn't dark enough, and that was a problem. But you know, I don't think there's a lot they can do about that. Oh, and fuck me, Triple H's entrance. We fucking laughed out loud.
That sucks so badly.
It was so cringeworthy, wasn't it?
Well, I'd already called that. I thought he was going to come out in his crown again.
Yeah, crown.
But he took it one step a bit too far.
Well, they'd hinted at that because they've been doing promos where they'd featured the skull and all that shit. But that match actually for me was probably about the weakest on the card. I think.
It was. It was really poor. It was really poor. It got to the stage. I mean, we'd had a few beers anyway by this point, because there was a little Arnie video clip beforehand, wasn't they? And we was just screaming Arnie quotes. Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper!
Until I went, Adrian! And realised that wasn't...
That's Rocky.
Yeah.
The low, mate, but... that's
like I said, I'd had a couple of beers. I could be forgiven for that.
You'd be forgiven, mate. But, yeah, that was... That whole bit, I didn't get it, because they'd been building that, and that wasn't just for weeks, that was for months and months and months. They've been building towards it.
Oh, a long time. Well, even at Backlash, I'm sure they build that at Backlash that they were going to fight. I am positive if you go back and watch the Raws and whatever leading up to Backlash, and then all they did was come out and say that they were going to fight at WrestleMania, basically.
Yeah.
And
that pissed me off.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was like, yes, we're going to see fucking Sting and Triple H go at it.
The second Triple H came out in jeans and not ring gear, I was like, hold on.
Yeah. Something's wrong here. And he starts talking. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah, I know. And but horseshit. But that was a problem. I think as a sort of grown-up fan that's grown up. I mean, dude, I used to watch. I think how I got into wrestling was as a kid. We used to watch World of Sport back in the day, back in the 80s with me nan. So I grew up, fucking Johnny the Saint and fucking all these fucking guys. I loved it. And so I think that's why I've always sort of generally followed it where possible. And now obviously with streaming and all that kind of stuff, it's so much easier catching up on this stuff.
Yeah.
But it disappoints me sometimes how... I don't want to sound like an asshole, but how they do blatantly disrespect their fans sometimes. And that's how it feels, especially with the WWE. And I wouldn't fucking mind if it was like Lucha, where it doesn't fucking matter who wins or loses, because the match is that good. And that for me is a good wrestling match, when you've got two people that are just fucking awesome, they go for it. And at the end, you cheer for them both. And it doesn't matter who's good or bad, who's heel, who's face, it doesn't matter. Because they just been and they've just done fucking, 30 minutes that they've just killed it. Absolutely. And with WWE, you just don't feel like you get the payoff sometimes. And I mean for fucking months at a time as well. I'm not just talking like, that was a shit Raw. That wasn't the best fucking pay-per-view or whatever the fuck they're called now. Do
you know what? I've got to the stage where I really don't mind missing SmackDown every week, because nothing seems to happen.
I had to, because it was just doing my head in. SmackDown basically is pretty much a 50% recap show of what happened.
Raw.
Yeah, Superstars, you get 2 matches, which are dark matches anyway, that they get recorded before the shows and thrown in later on. It doesn't lend anything to the storyline. I actually was very much a fan of when they had Raw versus SmackDown.
Yes.
And fuck me, they need to do that, because
but they have the roster to do it with,
and
I don't think they've got
it. Dude, look at NXT; it's fucking brimming, and they are signing people up constantly. Samoa Joe's coming in; he's been signed. Samoa Joe's fucking awesome.
What's his name? Rhino has joined NXT, hasn't he?
That sort of upsets me a little bit, because
I used to like Rhino.
Yeah, I did. Rhino's like one of the most established guys. He's wrestled in pretty much every promotion. Nice one, Jam. And I've never been a massive fan of Rhino, in all fairness, but I feel like putting him in NXT is, I don't know. It's kind of like taking a fucking veteran and putting them back in preschool. Yeah, is how I feel. But at the same time, NXT is so fucking good that I don't think it even needs Rhino. Rhino could go on the main roster, but my fear is
that's the thing, like you say, they've got a lot of good talent there. Why do they need? It's not as though they need someone to drag them up, is it? Like Rhino, they don't need someone like that to go in there.
They're skimming all the fucking indie. I mean, what's funny is after Punk goes, for all the changes that he wanted, the changes are happening now for the most part. But they're happening in NXT, which actually, what the funny thing is, that's directly Triple H. That's his baby. Yeah. That's his thing. And credit where credit's due, he's doing a fucking brilliant job of that. And like, I love the shit out of NXT to the point where I would sooner watch NXT. I would sooner that was a 2 or 3 hour show than Raw. Raw starts 20-minute, 30-minute promo. Right, then some build, then some recaps, and then it'll be and this match starts now, and it'll
a 6-man tag.
Yeah, and at the end, 6-man tag team match at the end
with the same people you've been watching.
Oh god, 6-man tag team match. What's that? Is that Kane and Big Show?
Yeah. Versus... Oh look, here's Ryback.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I bet the two small guys, J&J Security, don't interfere with this one at all. Not like every other fucking week. And this is what really bugs me at times, and why sometimes I have to take a break. It's fucking insulting intelligence-wise wrestling, and I think that is what, you know how all non-wrestling fans are like, it's fake, it's bullshit. Yeah. Why'd you watch it? And it's that makes me think they're right. But then the other side of it is I read more about wrestling than I watch, and I watch a lot of wrestling. But it's because I love the politics. I love the shit that goes into it. I love the shoot interviews. I love finding out how wrestlers really feel about each other. And then when you realise that the tension and the fucking shit that they throw around in the promos is actually how they feel about one another, you're like, credit where credit's due. That's fucking awesome.
But then they're still professional enough to get in a ring and be in a situation where they could really hurt that person, and generally they don't tend to.
And they nail it.
We was talking about Ryback earlier.
Yeah, I remember we had this conversation. Yeah,
you don't like. I love Ryback. You don't.
It's for different reasons. It was pre the whole Punk thing. Obviously, in the podcast, he slated him, which, you know, maybe that's fair, maybe that's not. Ryback's been around a lot longer than people seem to sort of remember. He was in NXT when NXT wasn't a televised product, pretty much. It was like a talent show. But developmental. It was still developmental, but it was a talent show. Same year as Daniel Bryan, I think. Then he was in the Nexus for a long time. But to be honest, what I don't like about Ryback is that he is like Vince McMahon's wet dream of how a wrestler should look, and that is basically, in a nutshell, a large part of it. Now, when he does some of the fucking strength shit, like picking up the fucking Big Show, marching around with him, you're like, fuck me, that is impressive. Credit where credit's due. But I just don't like the fact he's a fucking steroid guy coming on and that voice. God damn it. But I have to say, he's earned my respect more over recent months. But for me, he would make a better heel. I don't know why they've got him as a face. I don't like him as a face. I think he would be, if they. And I'll tell you the other thing as well. It's because whether it was his fault or not, they fucking buried him for like a year. Poor guy, right? And they bury him, and he is a heel. But the guy went out and lost every fucking match. And pretty much, I don't remember. Like, it would be him and fucking Curtis Axel come out.
I was going to say, like they're saying, like exactly what they're doing to Curtis Axel.
They're still doing it. But he's had it for. That's fucking Mr. Perfect's son, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know, like Mr. Perfect, one of the few guys that beat up Brock Lesnar. True story, on a plane. Yeah, but do you know? Honestly, I fucking don't like Curtis Axel. I've tried to. I think he's a decent enough wrestler. It's not my. It's not got my vibe.
Didn't like the whole Axel Mania.
I fucking hated it. I'll be honest, because I'm, you know, anyone that's still watching this or listening, I've never liked Hulk Hogan. Never will. For a number of reasons. I was, you know, back in the day, I was a Warrior fan, and I think you was a Warrior fan, or you was Hulk Hogan. But in all fairness, I didn't like him because I've read a lot about Hulk Hogan, and he is a fucking sly, sneaky motherfucker. And do you know what? Really, actually, more recently, this is right up to WrestleMania. He inducted Randy Savage into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Randy Savage fucking hated the guy.
Yeah.
There's promos out there, and it wasn't promos. It's actually Randy Savage on camera talking openly. But Randy Savage, he was like that all the time. I never got that. I always thought he turned it on for promos. That was how he was. He was always like, "Oh yeah," like I loved that shit. But I thought it was put on. But he hated the guy, and then to have him induct him into the Hall of Fame, I felt was a real fucking slap in the face. I thought it was bullshit. But anyway, yeah, so the whole gimmick, they're just recycling a shit gimmick because I've never liked Hulk Hogan personally. I've never liked that whole fucking gimmick with his, what is it, yellow, pink, and fucking
and red in it. Yeah.
I never even got it. I don't really get what it. I didn't get it.
Yeah, the big fucking feather boa thing round his neck and whatever.
Jesus, but the thing was, you know, he's a fucking massive guy and he's muscly, but he's another one, and I hate to say this as well, Ric Flair, they wrestled way past the fucking prime. They should have fucking stopped. Yeah. And now this is interesting.
I agree with you there with Flair.
I've been reading recently that Hogan, and because he's such a little bitch, I reckon it's going to happen. He wants to be in WrestleMania 32 wrestling a retirement for title match. If he loses, which he will, he'll retire. Dude, you should have fucking retired 15 years ago. Like, at your fucking peak, your signature move, your best move, your finisher was a leg drop.
A leg drop.
Not from the top rope. A standard issue leg drop. Right? Nah, sorry. And dude, he's another one. Great Khali. What the fuck was he like? Yeah, he's tall, but you should wheel that guy out, you know, as like a fucking a freak show attraction. Having him wrestle, he looks like he's got fucking elastic bands for legs, and he can barely support his own body weight. And we're meant to believe that he's some unstoppable force, which makes me think also his special move. In fact, his only move. I don't remember him doing anything other than the big chest slap. You ever seen it? What else has he done?
No, I don't. I have no idea.
He was world champion for a while.
What?
He was.
I don't remember that. Really?
I wasn't watching at that time. I've caught up subsequently.
But that's why I stopped watching.
I know,
shit like
and
that was happening.
This is the thing. Like, I know we're in the PG era, or is it reality era? I get confused now because it's both, isn't it? PG reality era.
According to Paul Heyman, it's the PG era still. So I'm signing with. I'm a Heyman guy.
Well, it is. Incidentally, bringing it back round, I read a lot about wrestling, so I end up getting quite excited about it all. Brock Lesnar did get in trouble for blading as well.
Really?
That was, I think it was predetermined, but he's copped a lot of flack for it. Which I know you shouldn't say it. It was good to see blood back in the fucking game.
Oh, definitely. Well, the thing is, as well, he must have done it pretty sneakily then, because I was watching pretty closely.
Well,
and I didn't see anything.
It's been left up for debate because a lot of it they're saying he did it the hard way. Like, I know his welts on his face, that was down to Reigns. Basically, fucking Brock being Brock. I think he went in and he said, "I want you to fucking punch me." Like, in there, we're gonna make you look strong. I want you to fucking punch me, and like, you know, I want a good one. You know, make it fucking count. But there is one point where Reigns, there's a gif of it. It's done its rounds on the net all over Reddit, fucking squared circle. And basically, Reigns is down on the ground by the side of the ring, and the fucking ref runs up, puts something in his hand, and you see Reigns grab it. Yeah. And then within a few minutes of that, you've got him. What was it? It was fucking Brock going into the ring post, wasn't it? And it just opened him right up. And yeah, it's definite blading. I mean, that was probably the only thing I really liked about Ric Flair. Is Ric Flair couldn't have a match without blading. He fucking that was sort of his thing, wasn't it? He would end up fucking bleeding like a stuck pig. Bless him. But yeah, it's just it lends an air of legitimacy when you see a bit of blood and you think, you know, they're putting a bit more effort in, and kind of makes up for some of the poor quality soap opera shit.
When it wasn't overly excessive either. I mean, it wasn't like Austin when his entire head was covered, or Shawn Michaels when it was the same.
Orton, they've all done it. I mean, no one's going to touch Cactus Jack ever.
I know.
The guy was fucking insane. Totally. While I'm on that chain of thought, what do you think for fucking Mick Foley commissioner again? I think that would be the best thing in the world. He did 6 months of commissioner. Did you ever see that?
I did, yeah. I was still watching that.
He was incredible. He nailed it week after week. And like Mick Foley being Mick Foley, I always think of Mick Foley. Mick Foley is to wrestling what Dave Grohl is to rock. He's like, everyone just fucking loves him. No one's got a bad word to say about him. Mick Foley took the biggest bumps that anyone's ever fucking seen. He did some of the craziest shit. And the fact the guy's still around, I feel it's sad that he's not in some way being utilised.
Well, he is spending his time productively. If you remember, a couple of months ago, he got banned from a chicken wing eating competition, didn't he?
Did he? I didn't know.
Yeah, he had a bum bag on, or a fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. And he was sneaking chicken wings under the table and hiding them in his bum bag.
That's amazing.
They obviously caught him. Because people aren't going to be watching Mick Foley, are they?
You think he's fallen on hard times?
Just a little bit.
I mean, that's bizarre, isn't it?
It's very.
When he was commissioned, I think one thing I loved about him the most was apparently he used to send someone ahead who would scout out the next venue, and they would find the most bizarre place for him to set up as an office. And he did it from broom cupboards, toilets. It was just like under stairs. It was amazing. And you were just like, the guy who's just pure class. It's like he's got like he's like self-detrimental, and you just don't see that enough in wrestling. There's too many people that are like, it's all, oh, I'm going to break you, I'm going to all this sort of
take themselves far too seriously.
Ridiculous, yeah. And you need some of that, But at the same time, there's not enough comedy. You want the comedy factor, But anyway,
you need it, and that is something that is severely lacking at the minute.
Yeah,
I mean the closest was Miz and Mizdow of recent, and it looks as though Mizdow is just going to leave Miz in the dust and take his gimmick while he's at it.
He is at the moment, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay like that.
I don't think he could go back to Sandow.
Do you know the thing is, right? If you remember. When I got back into wrestling, Sandow, his gimmick was I'm better than you, and he was this like meant to be like some sort of genius, and he was arrogant, and he was a jobber, 100% jobber. I remember the audience shouting jobber signs going up when he came out. He was just out to make other people look good. But what I love about that guy is that even during all that, he could still win an audience over. And even when the odds are stacked against him, so they try and make it so that he's not going to win the match, he's not going to look good losing the match, and basically he's out to be literally laughed at. That he'll fucking do it with such style and panache that you actually end up liking the guy, and that to me is fucking awesome. And I again, the problem is you can't have everyone winning all the time. It's impossible. Otherwise, you end up with all the matches that they like to do quite a lot, which is where there's outside interference, or there's something goes wrong, or there's a count out. So he's still not been pinned, and Sandow at the side of some of these other guys, he's not that good. But I still like him, and that's the thing. But I was like that with Ziggler. Then Ziggler got the push. Then I just got sick of the fact that Ziggler. And the poor guy, he only got the push because Bad News Barrett was out, the World Championship was out, and they needed someone to fill it. And Ziggler's like the hardest worker in the fucking game, I think. But I don't always like these guys' movesets and stuff. I think he's great on the mic. I've noticed that they're punking him up a bit as well. I don't know if you've noticed they changed his ring gear. And he's coming out in punk-style hoodies. They've changed his boots. They changed his tights. And he's coming out a lot more with like a punk-style sort of attitude. Yeah, which I thought was quite interesting. But yeah, it's funny. And this is what I don't get. You've got guys like Ziggler who are over as fuck. The crowd fucking love the guy. And he came from being a heel and organically turning that around. A heel that lost every match, incidentally. And fucking, they did that to him for the best part of a year, and he still won the audience over because he made the other guys look that good. And fuck me, was it? I can't remember. Was it Table Ladders and Chairs where he had the match with Luke Harper?
Mm-hmm.
That for me was match of the year, I think, last year. That was
Yeah.
incredible. They literally put everything into that. And Luke Harper, I fucking love that guy. He's too big to do the things he does.
Definitely, yeah.
And yeah, he does them. And you're like, legend. Fucking legend. But, you know, again, he's someone that they don't give him enough mic time. They don't give him enough exposure. He goes out and he nails it. And he's like a force to be reckoned with. But he should be world championship material. Not fucking languishing in, oh, maybe you'll get an intercontinental shot. You know.
I do agree with you there. They do seem to be pushing the wrong guys.
The only way around,
just
yeah,
not giving people like Harper a decent shot.
But the problem's this: you can't do that, and you can't give them the time without having SmackDown versus Raw, because you need people on. You know, people on both rosters. Like, if you've got two active rosters, I mean, look at NXT; they're brimming with talent. They've got some of the fucking best fucking people there. Adrian Neville, fuck me, bringing him over to WWE. The guy's incredible.
Fantastic move.
Do you know?
Really was.
I every time I look at the guy and I'm like, you know, he's a funny looking sort of fella, but he goes out and I mean, he's got the physique, but he fucking, man, the second he starts, the guy goes. His wrestling is fucking. There's no one pretty much that can touch him.
He does look like a World of Warcraft character.
He does, yeah. He does. He
but
looks
in wrestling gear.
Yeah, and also you forget, it wasn't until the other day, because obviously NXT, they're all a bit shorter. You know, I think that's fair to say. They're the indie guys. McMahon's always had a hard on for the fucking giants, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He loves that shit. And out comes Neville, and then that was such a good match. Neville versus Rollins.
It wasn't until I saw him next to. I knew that Neville, wasn't a particularly big guy at all. But when he was up against next to Rollins, he looked tiny, and it's like Rollins isn't even that big.
Rollins is pretty big though. I think he's 6'3", 6'4".
I might be wrong, but I don't think he is that big.
I'm pretty sure he was. I'm pretty sure he was. He's taller than Cena. Cena's about 6'1".
Oh, really?
I think. Yeah, 6'1", 6'2". And he's taller than Triple H. And Triple H is 6'4", I think. 6'3", 6'4". He's a tall guy, but then he has got 7 feet of neck, hasn't he? So there is that. But I tell you what, that was a good fucking match too. That was really good. But Adrian Neville just stole the show. Stole it. I mean, like, even when he does the flips across the ring, he just like, fucking wow.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing was, if you go and watch Lucha Underground, which you have to do, that's standard. That just happens all the time. Like, that sort of shit, that is a standard you will come to expect, and they deliver. It's like they're wrestling their last match every time, straight up.
Well, that's what you want to see.
It is, but I mean, obviously it shortens careers. But if you've got a guy that goes out there, gives it his all, and good guy, bad guy, don't matter. It's just you just like, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But hey, incidentally, what was your favourite match of WrestleMania, just out of interest?
That's a good one. To be honest, it was probably the main event, because Brock Lesnar's my boy.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see him chuck Roman Reigns around.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Unfortunately, I watched it on the Monday night, and I'd already had the ending ruined, so I knew who was going to win. I'd already predicted that, but I would have loved that to have been a fucking hell moment.
Well, we all knew that Rollins, I think, was going to cash in his Money in the Bank. It was just whether he was going to get the job done.
Chance, isn't it? Is it
pretty? It's not the next one. I think it's the one after.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So it's not, he didn't have long, and on the biggest stage of it all. But then, when you think about it realistically, they're not going to let him keep that thing for nearly a year without cashing it in, without giving him the title. I don't think he's going to have a long reign, to be honest. And I think ultimately, all it's done is postponed their push of Reigns. But I think they need to get. Actually, what they need to do, I think, is they need to turn Reigns heel, because it's not going to make any difference to merch sales and all that sort of stuff. The kids, it might be the kids that are his fans now, but it might work better for him.
He eventually is going to be The Rock. People are going to love him. He's going to end up doing Hollywood stuff. He's a fucking good-looking guy. He's got the size. He's got the physique. It's just they were giving him shit fucking promos. They were absolute horseshit. That where he was telling fucking fairy tales about Jack and the Beanstalk. Everyone was like, "The fuck are they doing to the guy?"
Yeah.
And it made me not like him. But the thing was, apparently backstage, he's like a really likable, funny guy. He's a decent chap. That and you're like, you need to fucking either get that over or turn the fucker heel. Because if he's this big Samoan badass, make him a big Samoan badass. Make him the guy that goes in and fucking stomps people.
Yeah, give him the tools to do the job.
Put him back with Rollins. Make them make them fight the Authority and fucking make the Authorities look like the good guys for a change. That would be cool. That would be interesting. And you'd be like, and then you give him some legitimacy. But the problem is, it's how they fucking book these people. It's like WWE creative sometimes are like fucking mentally retarded, I think. And you just like you're really missing a trick, by doing what you're doing. And he's a prime example of that. It's just how they book these people, and so they fucked up so badly that by the time he should have got his big shot and his fucking defining moment, the audience fucking hate him. 80% are fucking booing for him, and they've actually been nerfing a lot of the fucking crowd chants and stuff, believe it or not, for when it comes onto the network. Now I've been watching other places to get hold of some of these shows, so I'm seeing the live footage basically, and some of these crowds are going absolute apeshit, and the crowd are indicating generally how people are feeling, and they're having to listen. But I actually, I'm not going to say he's blameless, because I think Triple H and his big shovel, who's buried a lot of people over the years. He's made some bad calls and always wanted to put himself over. But one thing I will say is that guy's doing a fucking good job with NXT, and I think if McMahon could just let go of the reins a bit and let him do the same with WWE, I think it'd be a better place. And whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But
I don't think it is yet. It's got to be on the card soon. I mean, Vince is pushing it now.
Like 70, isn't he, or 69, I think. But I tell you see how much shape that guy's in.
Maybe him and Hogan should have that retirement fight.
That would be the one.
That'd work.
That would be the one. But do you know what? The one thing I've always liked about McMahon, he wasn't afraid to make himself look shit to put other guys over.
Oh, definitely.
Time and time again. And
when you think about his position, he wasn't just an actor. He was the actual owner of the entire company.
Boss, yeah.
And he'd go out there and make himself look like a dick week in, week out.
Exactly. Do you know what I would fucking love to see? And that is Shane O'Mac come back.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever happen. But look, when you look back at footage, at the time you took it for granted and you were just so sick of fucking Vince McMahon and the McMahons interfering with everything and fucking Shane O'Mac coming out. But you go back and look at some of the fucking matches Shane O'Mac had. That guy had balls of steel. Yeah. He would jump from like fucking 20, 30 feet up.
Did he fight the Big Show at one pay-per-view, I think?
I remember Big Show.
And I'm pretty sure he did. And yeah, he like climbed
was that the one off
scaffolding by the side of the Titatron and whatever and jumped off it.
Did you see the one where he took on Kurt Angle?
Yes.
And basically they got a spot where they were going to put one another through these glass windows, and they'd ordered the wrong glass. They got unbreakable plexiglass, and basically he fucking potato sacked him. Kurt Angle does the fucking like angle slam or some shit, throws him against his fucking plexiglass, and he just drops like a stone on his neck, full body weight, and you're like, oh motherfucker. And but to be fair, guy had balls of steel. Like, I know they did it wrong, but they knew they were going to get cut up. They knew they were going to get messed up, but I think that was a really bad spot.
Well, he's like, he was elbow dropping people from the top turnbuckle through the announce tables and stuff like that, wasn't it? Just crazy.
The guy was fucking... You know what it was? It seemed like because he was the boss's son, it went the other way to getting special privileges. It was like he had to work harder.
Yeah.
And at the time, I really didn't appreciate him, and now I miss him. But he will likely never pop back, and certainly not in a managerial or wrestling role. And that's because, from what I understand, he owns pretty much like the equivalent of Netflix, but in China or Japan.
Okay.
Doesn't need to. He don't need to fucking come back. I think he's gone and done his own thing.
Well, that's fair enough, but I don't know. You're gonna miss the cameras and the crowds at some point, I reckon.
I don't know. They don't all though, do they? I think some of them it's like I mean, look at Punk. Yeah. I know I always come back to Punk, but that's because I fucking love the dude. He don't give two shits. He wants to be left alone, and you know, maybe there is that side of things. I think some guys are addicted to the whole thing. Guys like Flair, guys like Hogan, they just won't fuck off. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel.
They can't just let it go.
Yeah, and you know, there's other guys that, you know, maybe the mercenary. Brock Lesnar, he's quite happy to be left the fuck alone. He comes out. I'll tell you what's interesting with Lesnar, right? You see other guys, they get injured, they go out, they don't wrestle for fucking 2-3 months, they come back and they're shit, and they got ring rust, and it takes them a while. Brock Lesnar will go fucking 6 months, he'll go years, comes back, and he's fucking brutal, and you're like, he's still as good.
Yeah,
he's still as good, and he just is a fucking he's like a superhuman, isn't he?
He is. He really is, and that's why it works so well.
Yeah,
he is. It's brilliant.
I'm still sad he got the streak though. He didn't need the streak.
But who would have been better to take it?
I personally, I think Punk should have had it the year before, because that for me was my match of that year. Going back and watching that, he wrestled like a madman. He said, didn't he? But he basically wanted time off after that, and he didn't get a lot. But he basically absolutely went for it, because he fucked his knee, didn't he? Doing a spot from the top turnbuckle onto the fucking announce table, wrecked himself, and that was wicked. But I think personally, it should have gone to someone that was going to be the next big thing, or someone that puts the fucking time in. Brock didn't need it, because Brock was the beast. Brock is the beast. Every time he comes out, he's fucking epic, and you don't need him to have had the streak. I would sooner, for whatever reason, he'd lost the streak, or ideally it was some kind of dodgy arrangement where it looked like he'd won but he'd not won, or he sort of broke the streak, but Taker would, you know, they should have had Taker with his fucking foot on the rope. That would have been a smart move. That would have been good. But as it was, they sort of gave him it, and I actually think it was because Taker basically was concussed to fuck. He went straight to hospital, McMahon in the ambulance with him, and I actually don't know if that was a genuine spot or not. I think they took the ball and ran with it, because that's what happened. But I do suspect he couldn't fucking kick out. But I personally think if they'd saved it for Bray Wyatt, you know, someone like that, I just think it should have been someone that they want to position as the next monster heel. You know, and Wyatt is a prime one. Cesaro, I fucking love that guy. You know, if you're gonna have him as a heel, give him the streak. Let him fucking be arrogant about it. Let him be a fucking cock about it. But what I don't like is Cesaro. I like the guy. There's something about him. He just seems like a nice guy. He doesn't work as a heel. Like, it feels very enforced, like he's being arrogant and all this sort of stuff. He seems like he's just got one of those faces where he looks like a nice guy.
You could sit in a bar quite happily all night and have a great time with a chap.
Exactly. It's, you know, down in shots, and you know, he just seems like a decent guy. And I don't sometimes get how they try and, it's like too enforced, too much scripting.
How do you see Lesnar at the minute? Because the last I remember, I think he was technically meant to be a heel.
Yeah, but
it really doesn't seem to be happening.
So Heyman. But Heyman's the best fucking... He's the best promo cutter. I mean, he just had everyone else together. Fucking Lana, Steph. I love Steph. Steph cuts a good promo. You know, they, to me, they're probably the two best other fucking mic workers in the business for me. And Heyman, you could take both them together and they still couldn't come up with what he comes up with. He understands it inside out. He's a very psychological motherfucker. When he cuts a promo, he's pleasing everyone, and he does it so that the casual watchers and the kids, they're kind of getting what they want to hear, but he does it in such a way that the viewers who know what the fuck's going on, they know the score, they get where he's coming from, and it's so fucking clever how he does that. And there's no one else can do it, you know, not at all. And I think
nowhere near.
But
it kind of makes the rest of them look bad.
It does,
because then when you have like Ryback or whoever cutting a promo, it's like I'd rather be listening to Paul Heyman.
It really does. But the thing is, if they're doing it with him, he'll carry them. But the thing is, this is what you've got to bear in mind. You've got arguably the best wrestler on the roster, and arguably, well, undoubtedly the best mic worker on the roster. As a unit, you don't get Brock Lesnar on his own. You get Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. So he's meant to be heel, but because they're that fucking good, like the
Everyone
audience,
likes them.
it's like I was saying this to Jem the other day. You forget because he's out for extended periods of time how good Brock Lesnar is.
Yeah.
You forget, and it's because he won't wrestle for 3 months. But when he does, you're like, fuck. Like,
and I kind of got that in a sense in a way before in the past, that it was an Impact thing. You know, you wouldn't see him for ages. He'd come back. You know, the beast is here. I think we're at a stage now where we need him regularly.
It won't happen because
I know he doesn't want to do it.
Well, he's contractually, he only does so many shows a year. Like right now, the whole thing putting Cole and the cameraman into F5s and all that, that's so that they could cut him out, so that he's out for a couple of months, because they're saving him for the big fucking payoffs, for the big shows. He'll reappear the fucking Raw before, you know, like a main event, like a big main event. But there really is no need. It's like when you see him, it's a treat, isn't it? It's like, and you know he's going to be top of the fucking card because he's that fucking good. But you know, for me, the booking's not how I want it. I'd love to see Brian Lesnar. I'd love to see Cesaro Lesnar. I'd love to see fucking like Bray Wyatt Lesnar. That would be fucking awesome. But what it will be is it will probably be the same old stuff, and I'm sure at some point they'll have John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, which we've seen. You know, it's like it's the same issue that they've got. I'm sick to death of seeing Big Show. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of I love Kane because I know Kane behind the scenes. I remember when he used to be this badass, and with all the mystique and all that, corporate Kane fucking sucks dick. Yeah. But what I know is that the guy himself is the nicest guy in the world. Everyone loves and respects him in the business, and he's happy to put other guys over, but it's lost the mystique that he had. Kane was this badass motherfucker that came out fucking just decimating people, like Taker back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
And then to have him lying down and fucking taking a loss and...
What's wearing trousers and
not the same,
work shoes. It's
not the same, and it's a sad state of affairs, to be honest. But you know, you can't, for every guy winning there's a guy losing, or you know, not or lying down or throwing a match or whatever. So you know, you can't always be a winner. But it's just sometimes how they book these people is just ridiculous. And I think Kane's a prime example. It's sad. I think Big Show would really benefit from taking some time out. I think they're pushing him, but the audience are tired of him. And you know, to have Big Show, the guy's fucking giant. Like I would love to, you know, I'd love to meet him in real life because he's just such a big fucking dude, and he should be a heel. He should be a fucking heel, but to have him fucking on every week, you'd lose the sort of drama and the fucking mystery with him. He's just. It's not, you know, and this is where they go wrong. You know, they get the wrong guys that they push. I would sooner they didn't have the same guys every week, and that gives everyone a chance. Give fucking good guys longer matches, but don't do it every fucking night. You know,
yeah,
that would make more sense.
Agreed.
And fuck your 6-man tag team matches. I don't care if I
bollocks.
I don't care if I don't see fucking Randy Orton for, you know, 3 weeks. Bring him back, put him over to fuck, give him a 30-minute match with, you know, fucking someone that actually matters, rather than the same old shit. You know, oh what, you're gonna have a fucking 15-minute match with Kane again? Like, we haven't seen that.
Well, I mean, the amount of Raws and whatever I've watched recently, and you know, it's getting towards the end of the show, and it's like, you know, there's 20 minutes left. We've not had the main event yet.
Yeah, and when it gets to 5 minutes left, you know it's just going to be pure interference. You're like, right, okay, you know, I'm not stupid. It's everyone knows where this is going.
Like we've seen week in, week out for what, 6-7 months now, probably.
This is it. This reminds me of a fucking. Do you ever see that where Punk, when he came back after he had won the championship in 2011, he came back and they got a table in the ring with John Cena. They got John Laurinaitis. They got Triple H, and they got Punk the other side of this desk. And John Cena and Triple H supposedly doing a contract signing.
I think so. Yeah.
There was a bit that Punk said. There were so many bits, but there was this one bit he said that always creases me, and he's like, should we just get on with this before this turns into some sort of outrageous physical calamity? And it's like, and it's that fucking made, you know, that it's that sort of legitimacy, because you know what's going to happen.
Is that when he was demanding that he had ice cream bar with his name on it.
That was all around the same sort of time. Yeah, I think this was after he re-signed his contract and stuff. But yeah, it was that's the kind of stuff that I like. You know, where they break the fourth wall, and it's like the kids are going to just lap it up, whatever. But there's the grown-up audience. They know the score. We fucking get that shit. We know, we know it's fucking predetermined. But we're there for the fucking ups and the downs, and we don't care if fucking guys win every week or lose. Just fucking make both guys look good. It's not that fucking hard. And that shit just creases me. And I think that's what Paul Heyman's got. He does that where he gets all angles, and he knows how to cut a promo and make everyone around him look good. There's just not enough of that shit.
One about the wrestling industry, and one about gaming.
I know. We didn't even cover the tragedy of AJ Lee retiring.
We didn't, but congratulations to her and CM Punk.
Best of luck. But yeah, it's been fun, sir. It's been low key with just the two of us.
Yeah, something a bit different.
But I feel now you should go and play a bit of Rust with me and some of the guys, and you should probably do a little recording of that and pop that up on your channel, because it might be good fun.
Definitely. Okay. No worries. Well, thank you all for watching, guys, and until next time, I'll see you later.
See you later.